AI note takers are everywhere in the accounting space right now. And Ping is one of the ones that's trying to be more than just notes. It's trying to connect meetings to real work. So if you've heard of Ping, but you're not quite sure if it's worth your time, this is the deep dive video. And speaking of deep dives, you'll probably need more than just this video in order to feel like it's going to work for your firm. And that's why I fought really hard for an extension to the 14-day trial period to 60 days. So if you use the code Chad Davis when you're signing up, you'll automatically get 60 days to trial this out. And that was something that was really important to me because I was trying to think if I use this in my firm, I'd at least want a couple meetings to go by with a customer in order to see how the AI reacts. And sometimes that typically can't happen in a 2-week period. So there, at least if you don't make it any further than this, you get 60 free days using the code Chad Davis. Okay, so by the end of today's video, you'll know one of 3 things. 1, you're ready to try it using that code. 2, you're more informed and ready for a more detailed sales call. Or 3, it's not quite ready for you. Either way, it's just a couple minutes, so let's get into it now. This video is going to cover 2 main workflows because it's easy to go over features, but the thing is, features change. And at the end of the day, we really want to answer 2 questions. Did the meeting turn into real work easily? And 2, can I pull client information instantly and write follow-up emails in seconds? The first thing you do is that you set up either your Google or your Microsoft integration. That's both done from a calendar perspective and from an email perspective. Once those are set up, then you can hook in your practice management system if you work with Carbon, Double, or Financial Sense. If you don't work with one of those 3, you can take the information that's inside of Ping and then just copy it into the other ones for now. In this example, we're going to show what happens when a meeting finishes, and then we have the draft email ready to go, and we have the action items already ready to be shared inside of Keeper, Double, or Financial Sense. So when you log into Ping, the first thing you see is your upcoming meetings and a list of all the recorded meetings at the bottom. You can either click that meeting on this page or come over here into meetings, find the meeting, and give it a click. Now, after the meeting's been completed, a few things show up. 1, a complete meeting analysis. Everything that's happened, all the categories, all the topics that you covered, and all the discussion points for those in a summary format. A little more analysis below inside of this paragraph format. Some action items, some accounting principles and concepts that were discussed, the entities referenced, and then almost like an FAQ style at the bottom that talks about what questions were asked and what was answered. And on the right, a complete listing of all the action items from that meeting. You can set due dates for each one that pops up. You can give it a quick edit if you need to. You can assign it to different people on the team, delete it if it's not necessary. And if there's something that it missed, you can always add a new one. Under analytics, you can also see who did the majority of the talking. There's some sentiment analysis to see what was happy, what was gratitude, what was fear, if there was any confusion, that kind of stuff. And if you want to see that exact spot in the actual recording, you can give it a click. And then on the right, it'll play that part of the call so that you can see what they're talking about. But the real win is right in here, inside of the Ask Ping tab. From here, you can click this button that drafts a follow-up email. And within a few seconds, it's ready for you to either press this button and have it show up as a draft right inside of your email, or you can copy the whole thing and use it wherever you want. So there you go. Meetings completed. You get to see some analysis. You can check the analytics for some sentiment analysis and to see who talked more than others. You get all the action items that then get pushed into your project management system. And by asking it to draft a follow-up email, you have the complete email ready to go inside of your email system just by clicking one button. Now, if the meeting wasn't on your calendar and you need to set one up, there's a few different options here. 1, you could upload the recording if it was completed somewhere else. You could record the live audio from your microphone. You could click here into a phone call and conference yourself in and then call your client so that that's recorded. Or you can come back to this meeting platform link and then add the link to the meeting. And then this will invite the bot. Shows up about 15 seconds afterwards. Quick security interruption. If I was watching this as a firm owner, I'd want to understand how the security sort of works with meetings where I might be having meetings with some people. Maybe some people want to keep things private. Like, how does that all work? First, let's start with table stakes. Ping just passed their SOC 2 audit. And here, when you click into settings, you can go into organization and you can see that there's 3 different types of users: owner, manager, and user. Now, if a meeting is shared inside of the organization, all owners can see all shared meetings from managers and users. So it's a very hierarchical process. If managers log in, they can see meetings that are shared between all of the users. And another setting they have is under the meeting assistant. Here, you can auto share all of the meetings with the entire organization. So some firms choose for that to be turned on, and some choose for that to be turned off. But at least that's a setting you can control. So if a meeting isn't currently shared with other users in the organization, you can click that button, it becomes shareable, and then depending on where you fit in that hierarchy of owner, manager, user, you may be able to see all these meetings that are shared with the org. And of course, if you're an owner of an organization and you want to unshare a meeting, you can click that and then nobody will have access to those meeting notes except for you. And in case you're wondering what other settings you can control, yes, there's lots of them, but you can also craft how you want those email drafting preferences to look like with a couple selections here. Okay, back to the second use case. All right, client intelligence. This is using AI across all the meetings, all the summaries, all the emails that are sitting inside of Gmail or Microsoft, and allowing you to ask questions about those right inside of Ping. So if we pick a client, Big W Construction, this is the real power of using an AI note taker in the accounting industry, right? Client intelligence is accessible through the Ask Ping tab. Here you can ask it anything you want about past meetings, past email. You can ask it certain things like what were some recent concerns from this client and see what it says. It's analyzing it. And you can see like concrete things, like he wants clarity on how job-related materials and small equipment should be categorized for bookkeeping. You can see that he's mildly concerned about cash outflows, but he's not panicking. And you can kind of get a gut check that like nothing really new has surfaced as worries or issues for this customer. If you wanted to check in, you could ask it to draft an email about those job-related costs or move on to the next client. Let's say you're taking over this client from another one of your team members. Maybe you want to ask it something like, hey, I'm taking over this client from a colleague and I need to get caught up fast. Tell me all the important things. You can press ask and it'll go through and try to answer this as best as it can. All right. The way that it's structured, this is kind of nice, like who they are. There's different projects. There's a mix of W-2s and 1099s through Gusto. They confirmed a few details. They covered different topics on the calls. There's some action items. And what's kind of neat is that it gives a status that says it didn't actually see a follow-up email from William that talks about Gusto access or equipment details. So it's possible that those items are still open. It gave some bookkeeping overviews, some relationship notes, talked about tone, and then gave a final list of what's still possibly open for like us to pick up as the new person coming in on the file. It's kind of nice. It even gives you almost a playbook of what to do to start the relationship off, right? Acknowledge certain things, confirm the outstanding items, and all that good stuff. Now, sort of aligned with client intelligence, it's kind of neat too that they have this digital footprint option where you can press start research on any one of your clients, and then it can go out and try to find some information about them right within the tool. Now you can see there I picked one that I want to do some extra research on, and then it comes up with a report with like executive summaries, takeaways, profiles, different social media links, and where it got that information from. So kind of neat. It's kind of like having a mini Perplexity right inside of the tool. Let's talk really quickly about switching platforms. So again, Ping allows you to upload existing recordings. Now, if you wanted all of your meetings in bulk from Fathom or Fireflies to be imported into Ping, they currently have the ability to do that. And all you have to do is reach out and they'll take care of it for you. Now, really quickly, here's some interesting features. One, you can make the assistant that shows up inside of your meetings look exactly how you want. You can give it a name, you can turn the image on or off, and then of course you can upload your own image if you need to. You can receive an email after every meeting that shows up in your email. So if you are using project management systems that are hooked into email that aren't part of the integrations, now you can add those summaries to those tools. One of the coolest features is the email assistant. And this is where if this is turned on, inside of Gmail or Outlook, if a client emails you, a reply based on everything Ping knows about those meetings and those past emails is automatically drafted. That means when you receive an email from one of your customers, a draft has already been created in your voice using all the meetings and emails that Ping has access to. Ping also has teams, so that if you want certain teams to have certain information to clients, they can. No meeting information will ever get cross-contaminated with other customers because everything is done through an integration that's matched with emails. When meetings are completed, if you need to copy the transcript for any reason, you can, but you can also download the recording if you need that locally for any reason. And if you need to classify meetings as certain types, you can do that up top in this section. So what can we look forward to in the future? Like what's missing currently? And I think it's important to talk about this because no app is ever done. And at the time of this recording, the tool is 6 months old. Like it's crazy how far they've been able to get in this short amount of time, which means that there's lots of areas for improvement. And anytime I do one of these videos, I want to make sure that I retain the right to talk about things that are missing, so the videos are fair and balanced. The first and the biggest one, in my opinion, is firm intelligence. We talked about client intelligence, and that's a really big lift. Being able to analyze everything related to a client across all the meetings and emails. And right now, those are client-based, not firm-based. So you can't ask a question like, which sales calls this week talked about Gusto? The next is that all meetings are recorded with videos turned on by default. Sometimes I just want the audio. And that brings up another opportunity, which is the bot inside of the meeting. It'd be nice if there was an option for the bot not to be there, but you could still record the audio. Other tools do that and it's kind of handy. All right, let's wrap this up. So one thing we learned was that Ping isn't trying to be just another notes app. They're trying to make meetings for accountants turn into real work with a little bit less friction. Two things really stood out. One is that once a meeting ends, you get your summary, you get the action items, it gets posted into Double, Financial Sense, or Carbon, and you have a follow-up email draft ready to go that you can push right into Gmail or Outlook with the press of a button. And two, client intelligence exists. So you can ask anything about emails or meetings that have happened in the past, which essentially helps you prep up for meetings or hand off to another colleague and catch things that you might not have visibility into if they didn't email you directly. Security-wise, they're SOC 2 compliant, and you can control sharing pretty tightly using the owner, manager, and user toggles. Plus you have meeting by meeting sharing toggles if you want to keep something private. So the usual trial is 14 days, but if you use the code Chad Davis, you can extend that up to 60 days. And if you are going to use that 60 days to track something, just pick something that's really important to you. Is it about saving time after a meeting ends? Is it about saving time prior to a meeting starts? Or is the metric that's most important related to email response times? Either way, the best thing you can do is track it. And after the end of the 60 days, what you've tracked is a positive metric, and you can see it positively affecting the company. There's no harm in keeping it. If not, no worries. The worst case is that you learn a little bit more about your processes and where there's some areas for improvement.